In this lecture, we will see how good the audio quality should be. I assume you already watched the previous lectures and practiced. Otherwise, this lecture won't make much sense. So far I have been using ACX Check to measure audio improvement. ACX Check is a great way to measure audio improvement, but you should know there is something more. The ACX Check has to be passed on final audio. That means when you are ready to export your audio after all those editing and deleting, the ACX Check has to be passed. Let's assume this audio is going to be the final output. Clearly, it is not good enough for ACX standards as the noise floor check failed. It is too noisy according to ACX Check. ACX requires a noise floor of less than -60 dB, but this one has -50 dB. So I cannot use this audio as audiobook narration on ACX. Let's listen to it for a couple of seconds.
Audacity is a pretty good software for voiceover recording and editing. If you can get good recording, noise-free recording, then Audacity may be the only software.
The audio itself is good. The noise at the start is not that obvious. If you are listening through headphones in a quiet place, you may hear the hissing noise a bit. I told you before, the maximum amount of noise we can reduce in Audacity without affecting audio quality is 6 dB. So I will do a 6 dB noise reduction in this audio. After noise reduction, we will listen again to find out any detectable issues.
Audacity is a pretty good software for voiceover recording and editing. If you can get good recording, noise-free recording, then Audacity may be the only software.
The audio sounds good. The hissing noise is also a bit lower than it previously had. However, if I check for ACX standards, it still fails. To meet the ACX standards, I have to take down the noise floor by 10 dB instead of 6 dB. However, reducing that much noise through Audacity can introduce artifacts in the recording. Artifacts are some strange sounds introduced in the audio when you reduce noise too much. If artifacts are introduced, and it starts to sound harsh, I cannot use this audio in ACX. But what about voiceovers or podcasts, or other platforms? If you are watching this video on YouTube, you can enroll in the course. This video was a preview lecture of that course. By enrolling in this course, you get the chance to get feedback from me. Send me your audio recording and you will get a details analysis of it. If you try to figure out everything on your own, it will take a lot of time. Completing this course will cut off your learning time by an order of magnitude. You will become confident in any kind of audio recording and editing tasks in Audacity. I am giving a heavy discount during the course building phase. Although it has enough content to consume and people are already taking this course. They are sending me their audio, and I am giving suggestions for improvements. You can get access to this course from the Buy Me a Coffee page. If you want to get access to all my courses, consider becoming a member. For professional voiceover, the requirements are pretty much the same as ACX. So this audio is not good enough for a professional voiceover. I have to record with less noise floor to get a good recording for professional voiceover and ACX audiobook narration. But what about using this audio in podcasts or in YouTube videos? Or maybe as narration for online courses? This audio is okay for those platforms because it sounds okay. For YouTube videos or online courses, you do not have specific requirements about noise floors. If the audio sounds okay and there is no obvious noise, you can use it. For podcasts, it will also be okay. However, podcast platforms have different requirements for peak values. We will see later how to meet the peak requirements for podcasts. Let's explore the ACX submission requirements a bit more. It is very important to understand what good quality audio means. Otherwise, you will be confused if your audio is good enough. ACX has a requirement about room tone. Have room tone at the beginning and end and be free of extraneous sounds. Room tone is the silence in the recording while you are not talking. So you have to have such a part at the beginning and at the end, but not more than 5 seconds. The minimum is 1 second. So you should have at least 1 second of silence recording but not more than 5 seconds at the start and at the end. For professional voiceover work, you may not need such kind of room tone at the beginning or end. But you should be familiar with the term room tone. You will hear it a lot in voiceover work. The next thing is it should be free of extraneous noise. The ACX check we used only shows 3 things: peak level, RMS level, and noise floor. But there is more than that in audio quality. Your audio should be free of plosives and mouth noises. These are mostly associated with recording techniques rather than software solutions. Audacity has very little to offer for the issues mentioned here. Audacity does not have great effects to remove or reduce this kind of noise. Other paid software has some effects to reduce those noises. But it is always better to record as clean as possible. I will discuss later the good recording techniques to minimize these noises. Let's now focus on the three metrics of the ACX check. If you really understand what these metrics actually mean, you are well placed to get good recordings. Let's start with the noise floor of less than -60 dB RMS. RMS is an important thing to notice, because the meter reading is peak-based. If I play the silent part of the beginning, I will see something in the meter. What we see is the peak value in the meter, not RMS. You can think of RMS as a kind of average value but not exactly average. I will reduce the noise by 4 dB to make its noise floor pass the ACX check. You can see the noise floor passed, which is less than -60 dB now. If I play the silent part again, we still see something in the meter. So why did the ACX check show the noise floor is less than -60 dB when we saw something in the meter? Because the ACX check calculated the RMS value, not the peak for the silent parts. I hope you understand this point. If you still have any confusion, you can comment. The next thing we will see is the peak value. It should not be higher than -3 dB. The peak is the loudest part of the entire audio. We can visualize the peak from the waveform. The tallest point in the waveform is the peak. This is the tallest point of this recording. If I play the audio, you will see it is hitting the meter with maximum peak.
Many professional voiceover artists or audiobook narrators also use Audacity.
So you see the meter is close to -3 for that point. The peak should not cross -3 dB to keep some headroom. This headroom makes sure that the audio will not be clipped or distorted after encoding. The next thing is the RMS level of the file. The RMS level of the file is the measurement of the overall loudness of the audio. Overall loudness is different from the peak loudness. In peak loudness, only one point is considered. Other parts can be similarly loud or very quiet. It does not change the peak loudness calculation. But overall loudness calculates the average loudness of the entire audio. Two audio with the same peak loudness will have a different average loudness. It should be between -18 to -23 RMS. Once again we are seeing the term RMS. You can set the RMS of the audio from loudness normalization. The usual normalize effect sets the peak value. But the loudness normalization sets the RMS or LUFS level. If you upload audio to a podcast platform like Spotify, you will see loudness measurement in LUFS. Measurement of loudness in RMS or LUFS depends on the platform. For ACX, the max RMS is -18. So this audio can be maximum this much louder. If I set the RMS to -23, the overall loudness will decrease. The final goal is to get all three checks passed in the ACX. At the very beginning, you may have the idea the lower the noise floor, the better. Well, going just below -60 dB is enough. You should not try too hard to get the noise floor far beyond -60 dB. If your noise floor is somewhere between -60 dB to -70 dB for the final audio, you are good.